Hey, have you ever wondered why someone who ghosted you is someone who you're unable to stop fixating on, or why someone who has shown you inconsistency is someone that you still long to be with? Well, it might be because you need to do some shadow work. Last night I was doing a live tarot reading here on TikTok, and I got a question from someone wanting to know if someone was ignoring her. And I'm not a traditional tarot reader. I consider myself more a soul work facilitator than I do like a traditional psychic or fortune teller. But I do use cards to help people get answers and guidance, and I also use my own insights. So when this person asked me, was she being ignored, the cards did indicate that she was being ignored, but they also offered some guidance, and then my own insight was telling me that she needs to do some shadow work. So this morning she sent me a question asking what is shadow work and how do I do it, and I had encouraged her on live to reach out if that's something she was interested in. So I'm going to attempt to explain what shadow work is, how it can benefit someone who is being ignored, and how to facilitate some healing around that wound. So in the simplest terms, shadow work is the intentional effort of shining a light on the parts of ourselves that we were taught to hide or that we're ashamed of. And it's not a part of yourself that is necessarily bad. It's just a part of yourself that for some reason you don't necessarily want to show to the world. But when we do shine light on those things, it can bring more awareness of areas that we may need to heal and ways that we are trying to meet needs in unhelpful ways. So simply by asking yourself why something affects you so deeply, what wound is it triggering, and trying to look back at your past and see what patterns have activated as a result of childhood wounds or relationship wounds, etc., is doing shadow work. And then as we bring awareness to the why, we can then replace those patterns and behaviors with newer and healthier behaviors that help meet the same need. So one of the questions that I always start with whenever I'm doing shadow work myself or when I'm helping someone else facilitate shadow work is, what fear, what belief, what am I avoiding in this scenario by hanging on to this attachment, or by trying to get my need met this way, or by repeating this behavior? What am I trying to avoid here? What do I not want to look at? So when this person on live last night asked, is this person ignoring me and why? The question that came to mind for me is, why are we focusing on the why of this person ignoring us, instead of focusing on why is it that we still want the affection of this person who it seems like is intentionally bringing harm to us and is intentionally ignoring us? And I think that that's sort of where we can start that shadow work, is turning attention away from the other person's behavior, but towards the part of us that is triggered and activated by that behavior. The part of us that still wants to cling on to this person who is showing us that they don't truly care for us, at least not enough to treat us the way that we deserve to be treated. So a good question to ask yourself is, what part of me is being hooked by this person? And oftentimes it's a fear of being unimportant, or a fear of being abandoned, or a fear or a belief even that love has to be earned, or maybe you had an inconsistent parent who showed you love in an inconsistent way, such as being very loving one day and then the next day not being present, or a survival mechanism from a previous relationship where you were anxious all the time. So maybe you associate anxiety with romantic chemistry. It could be any of those things. I can't answer that for you, but I can help you with some suggestions for ways that you can facilitate those answers for yourself. And another thing that I think is really important here is, sometimes other people, even if they don't know what shadows are, they sense our shadows and their own shadows. They have unmet needs themselves. They have unhealthy coping mechanisms themselves. They may be getting a need of their own met by triggering ours. So I'm wondering if this person who is ignoring someone else, maybe they have a need to feel gratified that someone is chasing after them. That could be their own shadow, is, I feel very important when someone is chasing after me, or I feel very gratified when someone is thinking about me and I'm ignoring them because that has been done to me in the past, and that makes me feel better about what happened to myself. So that's their own shadow. But unfortunately, they are only able to do that to someone whose own shadow causes them to want to pursue someone who is ignoring them, or causes them to continue to think about someone who has shown them that they can't be relied on to be consistent and to be caring about their feelings. So that's where that it's just super important in order to be able to take your power back from people who may not know that they are exploiting your vulnerabilities, but they are. You have to shed light on those shadows for yourself. And the way that you do that is you find out what is that need, what is the need, and what is it that you are avoiding. What feeling is it that you're avoiding? What fear is it that you're avoiding? And if you can figure out what that is, you can figure out a replacement for the current mechanism that you're using. So, for example, if the need is to feel important, or if the need is to feel like this person is going to show up for you, you have to find people who have their own healthy ways of showing up for a person who has that need. But first you have to figure out what is that need. So if this is something that you struggle with, if you've been ghosted in the past and you could not stop thinking about that person, or if you were chasing after someone who was wishy-washy and inconsistent, I want you to ask yourself, where and when did you learn that you have to earn affection? When and where did you learn that? And who was it in your past who benefited from your belief that if you just try a little bit harder, the silence and the inconsistency will go away? Who was that? So once you're able to bring some awareness to what the unmet need is, or what the feeling is that you're trying to avoid, it shifts the power back to you, so that the next time that you are activated by that same stimuli, or you're triggered, whatever it may be, you're able to replace that old pattern with a new and healthier one, because you have more awareness around what it is that is unmet for you. So while right now it might feel like it hurts that this person is ignoring me because this person is special to me, it might in the future, after you've done some shadow work, feel more like it hurts that this person is ignoring me because I have felt ignored in the past, and because in the past this need went unmet, and I still have this need, and I need to go meet this need in this other, more healthier way. And so that will help you get your power back. And it doesn't necessarily mean an end to that attachment. You no longer needing that gratification from that person may actually be exactly what that person needs to stop treating you that way. And that you may end up having a healthier dynamic because of that. So I really hope that helps. If you are someone who is interested in shadow work, there are soul work facilitators like myself. I typically only do this for people that I know. I just now started kind of delving into the world of TikTok, but there are lots of very experienced soul work practitioners out there, and also folks that can help you heal your inner child wounds and things like that. But this is also something that you can easily do on your own. So there are shadow work journals that'll give you prompts that you can either write about, or you can do like voice recordings about. It's really helpful to be able to read it back or listen to it back, because you'll get more insights that way. But it's also really, really helpful if you have someone who has known you through multiple phases of life. It's very, very helpful to talk about these things with them, because they can give you insights about yourself and how you've changed over time that you may not even realize. And so I particularly found that very helpful for myself. Anyway, I hope that this helped. If you are someone who has more questions about shadow work, I'm happy to answer any questions. Just send me a message or leave a comment.